Hey, what's up? It's Nicole Brewster, also known as Coco. Thank you for tapping into the Elevate Him podcast, where we have tons of topics on how to support our men.
Hey everybody, it's Nicole Brewster here, also known as Coco. Thank you for tapping into the Elevate Him podcast show. Tonight is really awesome. I have a great group of men here who are going to share about their book club that they are in and what it's doing for them. Also, the cool thing about Zoom is we can talk from all over the place. So these guys are actually on the East Coast in different areas. I think there was one that was Illinois and Virginia, right? Maybe? Okay, so everybody else is from Maryland, so welcome you guys. I totally appreciate you being here. I'm super excited to hear about the work you guys are doing, the things that you are doing as far as your book club and what you want to see happen with this podcast and you guys being on here. As you know, Alan, I've shared with you a little bit about my background story and Elevate Him. My goal is to help empower men and eliminate the numbers in suicide. And so I think it's really encouraging when you can find groups and like-minded people to get together and start making some changes and elevating each other. So I appreciate you guys being here and just sharing some of your background. If you want to go ahead and start, Alan, just give me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, great.
I know, right? Sorry. Welcome.
The real thing about me is that I love helping, I love empowering people, I love encouraging people. I love to see human beings winning at life.
Yeah.
And so over my career in life, I've done everything from, well, let me back up. The background here of Empowering the Inside Man Book Club, Empowering the Inside Man Book Club is that we empower men from the inside, right? And so my background is I've been a Christian minister, Christian youth pastor, Christian a lot of things. I do a lot of spiritual teaching. I do a lot of coaching, empowerment, performance coaching, stuff like that. And I'm really excited because my brother Joseph, you see his name on there, just came up to me one time and said, "Hey, I think I want to do a book club." And so
Awesome.
Me as the empowerment, I said, let's do it. And so we're here because of a vision and a goal that he had to really have men be the best fathers, be the best brothers, be the best sons, be the best co-workers. And whatever we find ourselves in, that we be the best in that. And so we in number, we're starting small and then we're growing. And we are, what you see here on the screen is great impact in everything that we're doing. So that's a little bit about me and the group. And yeah. So
How long?
For having us.
Right.
I was really excited. You know, we met a while back and
Right.
we had a great time.
It was a great time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was really enrolled in what you were doing and how we could complement each other. So
Right.
I'm really glad that we got to be on here today.
And this is the great part about what I love doing is I get to meet like-minded people. I get to actually talk to a lot of different men, and as you know, there's not a lot of support. And so when you guys can pull together and have a great idea, Joseph, about what can we do right now with what we got and to empower and to really help men in transition and just life in general, it's very hard. I'm learning a lot about situations that guys go through. I'm listening to the double standards that guys go through. There's a lot of different things and areas. And so just really quick, what made you decide to do the book club and how long you guys been doing it? From Joseph.
This idea, like Alan brought up, I am the person that came to Alan because, one, he's been doing so much as far as empowerment, and he's got a lot more resources and more, know-how when it comes to starting a group. And one, is the fact that I have really tried to grow in my faith in the last few years, especially actually since my divorce too. I've been really diving into how do I, rebound from such a possible tragic, event in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And, God put me into a family that is a blended family, and I think that's a huge role into that too, as far as why I wanted to be better. Like I had right before we started this group, my now wife told me she was pregnant, and I was like, man, this is a big part of my life. I'm gonna be like a biological father, but I have 3 stepkids as well, and I wanted to continue being better.
Mm-hmm.
Not just for myself, but the people around me. And that was the real reason, was how do I become a better father, a better, son, brother? How do I become just a better person for the people around me?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, well, let's just start with the guys that are around me. I've got a great brother-in-law, and I've got great, friends that I've met through other Bible studies, and the fact that Zoom is so prevalent now, and, we can meet across the United States, and I think that's just a big part of what's there as far as availability. We did start this. We're actually almost coming up on a year. I was thinking about that.
Very cool.
Today, April 3rd, is when we started this thing last year. And to think that we're only, 8 weeks away from our year anniversary as far as this group started, it's actually eye-opening. It's like we grew from 4 or 5 guys to now 8 guys, and it's like there is a reach, and it doesn't even matter that it's a slow growth or whatnot. It's still growth.
Absolutely.
And the effect that we have on each other, whether it's just like a conversational piece or sharing our lives together, or if it's like, hey, this little part of this book, this chapter that we're reading, really meant a lot to me, and I want to share that.
Mm-hmm.
And sharing our lives with each other, I think, allows us to open up. And it allows us to be a part of each other's lives and be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is not something that a lot of men can do. And to be able to do that together in a safe spot, in a safe environment, is so important for a lot of men, in my opinion. So
did you guys all initially start together? So do you guys all know each other, or did you just have some people reach out and say, hey, come join our club or our book club? So did you guys all initially know each other?
So I know Alan and I know James by marriage and by family.
Okay.
Alan actually knows a lot of everybody else, right? And my buddy Mike actually just recently joined our group. So now it's like we're all like figuring out new people, and that's the real cool part about our group.
And what about getting together? So are you guys doing all your meetings and get-togethers through Zoom as well? So you guys are being able to kind of have these discussions on a Zoom call?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Okay. Very cool. And what would you say? I'm going to ask somebody else because I haven't really got a chance to. So we got James over here. We got Charles. And is it Dion? Okay. And so you guys, since you're in different places, what initially, like what gravitated you to the book club? Like what were you hoping to get out of it?
For me, one of the things that I wanted to get out of it is to really explore maybe what's stopping me from kind of fulfilling my potential, the things that I want to accomplish in my life. So I really have a heart for people, in that everybody needs to be seen as a human being and has value. So one of the things that is really close to my heart is the homeless population, and to provide them with homes. And so I've taken a couple of steps in the direction of being able to do that, and then kind of got stuck due to lack of self-confidence or knowledge or learning or what have you. So when the group kind of came about, I was like, maybe this is a place to explore, to see, to talk with, other guys who really get kind of what I'm into, what I want to do, and explore those things about myself so I can break through that and really deliver the heart of what I want to do for people. So that's really what brought me to the group initially. And then, of course, friendships. And I know a couple of these guys before the group. But so it's really great to, Joe's point, to be vulnerable and to just be open and to share and to not feel like you are an outcast or that your feelings are not valid. So, yeah, so it was really great on those respects for me.
Very cool. Thank you. Charles, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, it was two things that attracted me to the group. Of course, mutually, knowing Alan from college and, his brother as well. But just being able to be a part of a group where James just talked about being vulnerable, understanding that you're not the only person that's going through this. And the commonality in where I am in life with a lot of the other gentlemen that are on the line. Joseph talked about being a stepfather. I adopted a sibling group. So, there was a common bond because, some of the struggles, when you're attempting to raise children that you didn't birth to biologically, but you birthed them out of your heart. So those challenges, and then just again, where do you see yourself in the book, in specific chapters, because a lot of times men tend to suffer in silence, but the book club gives us a chance to have not only a healthy outlet, but also give solutions. We're able to give each other solutions. We're able to give each other encouragement. And, that's the beauty of it. We read these books, we read the books, and then you can kind of see yourself in the text, see yourself where you are, and now where I am. Now, how can I pick up pieces and move? So, it's just been tremendous value, personally, as well as, being able to share the information that, I get from these other great men with other men who are going through things themselves, and just being able to remind you, you're not an island. You're not in this fight alone.
Right. Absolutely. And I think guys really, really need that. I was just doing a podcast last week and I read off a lot of stats, and, men feel judged. They feel, they wouldn't be believed. The suicide rate is 3 times higher than women. And it's never just like I lost my job, I'm going to commit suicide. We see that it's a series of different things of not being supported, not being valued, not being appreciated. It's very gray. And so it's frustrating when it feels like there's no hope and there's no support. And so this is very powerful what you guys are doing, because so far everybody's said the same word, vulnerable, and it's very hard. And so I love having tough conversations for brave people. So thank you guys for being here. And so Dion, go ahead and share your part.
When I joined, I didn't necessarily have an expectation, but once I got into the groove, like everybody else is saying, the vulnerability, being able to be in a group of men where you could share, just things that you're dealing with, right? And I think as we read the books, we can see where we actually fit into the story of the book and how we can share our story and our lives from that part of the book. So being able to be in a group where I could actually either listen to their stories and connect to what they're saying, or share what I've been dealing with or my past, and maybe influence something that they've dealt with. So I'm just being able to be in a place where I can be open, honest, and feel free not to be judged.
Right. That's very important. So who decides what book you guys are going to tap into? And Ellen, you mentioned earlier that it is faith-based, which I feel is very important, right? That's the biggest life book possible. And so when you start to find, like you said, stories and different things to really get into, how do you pick your books?
So up to this point, Joe and I have picked all the books
Okay.
that we've read, and one of the new people who's not on tonight offered a book to us, and so really our goal is to have everybody have ownership in the group.
Okay. So almost like you would all switch off or something. It would be like a draw out of the hat type thing.
Yeah. And have
Okay.
people really discover, like we for tonight discover their self-expression and being a man, and then bringing that to the rest of us, right? And so part of growing a group, a community, is to have everybody have ownership. So one of the things we definitely ask, if you have a book we want to read, let's put it out there on the table, let's look at it, let's all read it together. That's how, but it's ended up that Joe and I have picked the first like 4 books or so. So, and that is not where we're going to end.
Right.
So yeah. And I want to address the faith-based part, because that's really great.
Yeah.
Yes, because I think a lot of us that are here on the line would agree is that the way we see faith working in our lives is for empowerment. Is to create life in a bigger context than what circumstances tend to normally allow us to have. Right? We're talking about, we got guys on the line that have been divorced. We have guys on the line that have lost everything and are rebuilding their lives. We have guys on the line that have been ostracized for their beliefs, their sexuality, their how they see life, right? We have people, actually we had a guy that was on from England, which is crazy, right? And so, and what's the great thing about it is that we together, we see that, like Charles said, we're not the only ones dealing with what we're dealing with. Because when we break it all down, we're dealing with being isolated. We're dealing with fear. We're dealing with hurt, right? We're dealing with disappointment. We're dealing with the circumstance of life that sometimes hit us with a bag of nickels. And I don't know if you've ever been hit with a bag of nickels, but it don't feel good, right? And our faith is there together collectively to have us win in life. And so again, we use the teachings of Jesus as the background, because Jesus came that we would have life and have it more abundantly, and that's what we believe.
Right.
And so it's really exciting, because we don't use faith as a way to have somebody feel like they're wrong. We actually use faith to have people feel like they're right. And that's really important, as we talked about with men. My experience was, when I was going through my darkest time in life that I can remember, it was during my divorce, and I suffered in silence, like Charles talked about.
Yes.
And had it not been for actually my family that I didn't even trust at the time, but they had enough love for me to help pull me out. And that's why we create groups like this. Because I know what it's like to be pulled out of something versus me trying to pull myself out, right? And so as men, we tend to try to pull ourselves out. And what we're saying is, let's together come out.
How do you look at things, because you guys are all in different areas too, so what are some of the things in maybe your community or whatnot that you see is I want to say necessarily a problem, but you see as a struggle for men right now in the community? I'm seeing it like here in Portland, we see a lot of the youth out here just acting, out. We see a lot of men not in the homes, right? We see a lot of different things going on. So how would you say your guys' community is right now? Maybe speaking on that.
So, Nicole, I'm in the Baltimore area.
Okay.
And from, watching the news, which can be a little divisive in and of itself, but knowing, the community and unfortunately the high levels of violence that happen in the Baltimore City area, something that I see and experience is that men in those areas have a need to express themselves through violence or through a bravado that proves to the world that they are tough and they are a man, I guess, to prove that they are a man, putting air quotes around it. So that's something that I experience. And even when I come into contact with those types of personalities, what's interesting that I find is that because I bring such a calm presence based on my faith and with the galvanization of these men on here, to give me that kind of confidence, what I actually find is that they don't seem to actually perform that same way when I'm around than when I'm not around. And I do have some experience with that. And it actually is a part of, the change I want to affect in my local community as far as homelessness is concerned. Because as you can imagine, many cities have rough neighborhoods.
Very
So
much.
you have to go into those rough neighborhoods and not be afraid to be able to have those conversations, to be yourself, and to be vulnerable in front of other people, because that also allows them to let their guard down and be vulnerable with you.
Right. And then you start building those relationships. You start seeing those changes happen because there's a trust thing now, right? I can trust you, you can trust me. And so when you're talking about empowerment, have you felt like, if you look back from when you started in this book club, whatever part of life you were in at that moment to where you are now, have you seen, I mean, I'm assuming because you guys all are saying great positive things, what the transition was like? Where are you now from where you were and that growth?
I could say definitely for me, it's been a 180. I can piggyback on Alan's sentiment. The darkest time was going through a divorce, being depressed, and, I'll quote unquote people that you thought that you could count on, and those avenues being closed, that you fall into prey and thinking that you're and you have, and it's one in your mind, and it it spoke to me in different ways, because I saw myself in every part of the chapter. And the beauty of the book is that the author wanted and challenged you to create an action plan. So from creating those action plans, as Alan said, and sharing what I was experiencing from reading those books, and from the outside as well. From the outside as well. When you had this group actually helped pull me out, and so I was grateful that they pulled me out, and then it was kind of like, once I had this momentum and was being instilled in me, and now it's time to pour back into other people. And so I think that's intentional. And one other thing I wanted to share, that what James mentioned too, like me being from Philadelphia, I see, growing up around violence and seeing violence, what I've learned, especially when it comes to men, when it comes to people in general, whatever someone can't talk out, they'll act out. And so sometimes for a conversation where transparency on your part is prevalent, really helps people through, when they realize, hey, we may appear to come from different backgrounds, but I have some of the same scars as you. Look, and not being afraid to show those scars is where a real conversation can take place, and actually encouragement can take place. I think before healing can take place, I think people have to know that you're not, I don't like to use the phrase meeting them where they are. No, I don't have to meet you where you are, because I lived where you were. So I can reflect back on my experience and tell you how I felt, and just listen from there, and we can just have a conversation going forward. Now, let's help you.
You kind of froze out there for a minute. You're all good. Well, what I also hear you guys saying, is just, when you get into something like this, when I was doing a lot of my research and building my business, there's men that have a hard time even going to the doctor. So to really step into a position of what they would call, there's therapeutic and there's non-therapeutic. The cool thing about non-therapeutic is it doesn't feel as invasive. It's like kind of at your own leisure. It's kind of like you're adopting different, people, and you're able to just kind of naturally be in a natural setting. And so when you first started this group, was anybody feeling a little bit, uncomfortable, and you weren't really sure? Because it's really hard when you think of therapy in the sense of judgment, or you don't want to speak about certain things. Was it easy for you guys to really have open dialogue and really honest dialogue? Because I feel like we're kind of starting anything new is very scary. And I look at my business as non-therapeutic. It's building confidence. It's having conversations. It's just doing natural hobbies, getting together, doing a cookout. And that's still therapy, because when you realize that the healing process of helping others is healing yourself, right? It's very, very impactful. So do you find that it was very easy to make the first step of, starting the group and coming together? Easy to talk?
I can speak on that, I guess. Being a teacher myself, like being in that community and that power or position where like I'm in front of students and I'm trying to give them a safe space to be themselves. I think that's where I kind of like started that idea of how do I make this group safe, right? And I was definitely nervous at first, just because, man, what is this going to look like? How is the discussion going to go? And is the book going to be good enough for all these guys to like really get engaged?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that first book really, helped a lot. And I think it was almost easy to be open and about things. And it might be that we all know each other in some way, right, to start this group. And we hope that if you are coming and you're new to the group, that you do feel safe. And that's not to say that, you come and you have to start sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the point. The point is come, check it out, and see if this is for you, right? You can sit in and listen to the conversation. And if you want to share, and you're outgoing, and you're an extrovert, and you want to share, by all means, start that up. And if you're an introvert and you just want to listen for right now and see what this is about, that's important too. And that's what I think this group allows.
Mm-hmm.
Is space for anybody that is possibly new. And I think I'm going to touch on the faith-based part of it just a little bit. Wherever you're at in your journey, you could have no faith, you could have all the faith in the world, right? I think might be a great way to either dive into more faith or even start off in a leisure way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the books connect to real life, right? It connects to other men that are going through hard situations. And it could be like a nice intro or even just a more depth of relate to other men going through struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Books that we try to choose are struggling men or books that have men, male figures struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Stories about those struggles that are so important that it makes it tangible. It makes it real and something you can grab onto and be like, I can relate. I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas being in a safe space, I think that's definitely created within our group.
Very cool. Now, Alan, when you mentioned to me about the group, I think it's great. I love what you guys are doing. Again, it's very courageous because we need more of this. And the fact that you guys are kind of, in different areas, you guys are committed to it. You see the benefits of it. Your own personal growth and testimonies are real. It's, a brotherhood. You're building these relationships. You guys mentioned earlier about expanding. Now, with being on the podcast and having viewers and different men listening in, what's the goal? I mean, how big do you want to go, or are you going to start making other groups? And so can this be like maybe somebody else starts something, because you're going to start getting a lot of men that are like, this is amazing and it's something that I can do and I can feel comfortable doing, like you mentioned, Joseph. And so how big do you want to go, and how's that going to look?
I want to grow. Well, let me speak for Joe and I. My vision is to touch as many people as possible.
Perfect. Yes.
Like there is in my world, again, like Joe mentioned, I have grown other organizations, and the point is always to have as much reach as possible. And
right.
So we protect our space for that reason. Like you asked about before, how do you make sure it's a vulnerable space? How do you make sure it is safe space, and we do that by intention. That it is, and we protect the space. And the great thing is that what we found is that when people join the space, they like that kind of space and they protect it too.
That's good.
So you notice that the judgment goes away, right? The people who wouldn't find themselves sharing share.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
A lot of fun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we want to touch as many. Like, why not invite? Why put a cap on what we want to do?
Yeah, there's no limit.
There's no limit. And here's the great thing. You asked a great question and these are the conversations that we're going to have with our core as we grow, because we're going to have to discover and create what it looks like as we grow. Because when we grow bigger than how this looks now, we're going to have to evolve. And we're not scared to evolve. We actually embrace evolution. Because who we are today, it has not yet appeared what we shall be. Right? And so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the challenge of, man, we were on the Elevate Him podcast, and now we have 50 new guys. What are we going to do?
What are you going to do? Right. Yeah. So well, I think it's great. It's like you guys have all are leaders now, right? When you start to recognize your talents and your purpose, you have now become facilitators, mentors, leaders, and that in itself is empowering. So when you can take on other men who are maybe at their lowest low, and you help them and you construct them through what you guys are doing, lifting each other up, being supportive. Do you guys chat even off of the whole book club scenario? Do you guys keep in touch? Hey, happy birthday. Do you guys kind of bond out of the group?
I bond with everybody.
Okay.
Well, we have a new guy, Mike, who I plan to do the same. And so, and like you said, we're going to evolve. We've talked about having a forward, meaning because we don't retreat, we go forward. So where we can actually come together and go forward and actually meet in person. And what would that
be really
like?
cool.
What's the challenge with that?
It'd be like a yearly retreat, guys retreat, a whole year.
A yearly forward, not a retreat.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yes. You just said that too. Hi. But yes, that would be amazing. That would be really cool because you have this, book that you guys are into, the journey, like you've said before, the process, the transition. And transition is huge. I mean, a step in the right direction, a step out of a place is movement. And so that would be really cool for you guys all to get together once a year and just live it up and celebrate those victories that you guys came out of, because it's tough. And I see this all the time in interviewing different men of different backgrounds. I've interviewed men who are getting out of incarceration and what that looks like and how can they get plugged in with other leaders and people who are like, hey, we don't judge you. We're all here. We're all human, like you said before. And how do you create that space and these men develop to now be able to, like James said, work with the youth, work with other, situations in the community. And I just think it's really, really powerful what you're doing. And I just commend you all. And the growth sounds like, you got a lot of momentum, a lot of energy. So how far are you guys right now in the book that you're in?
Right now, we are reading a book by Louis Giglio. Don't give the enemy a seat at your table. That title says it all. We are in chapter 5, going into this Saturday. This book should only take us 10 weeks, so 10 chapters. So we're on week 5 and should be ending about week 10.
Okay.
We have another book for, we usually take about a 2-week break, and I think James actually is going to probably lead the next book that we have. Already had kind of conversations with him, but definitely week 5 of this book, and there's really no like, hey, if you haven't started with us for this book, you really can't join. Like,
get in where you can right now. Okay.
Right, because and to be honest, you don't necessarily even need to read the book. We've had people come in that haven't had the book yet, but they just want to see how it's going, right? Because we bring the book out in our conversation, right? And there can be thoughts even if you're just listening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh gosh, that hit me. I can't believe it. Yeah, definitely. And come as you are.
Right.
That's what it is. Come as you are.
Very cool. And then, hey, Dion, let's see. So when you are in the group and you're listening and you are exploring the chapters and all of that stuff, what do you find? You mentioned being like part of the character and everything. So when each book changes, are you adopting a new place for yourself each time you go through a different book? Is that something that you like to do?
Yeah, I think I'm someone I like to read. I read often, so in reading the books, I always tend to find myself in the book so that I can relate to the book.
Mm.
And the books that you can't relate to, those are the books that you put down.
Right.
Right. So far the books that we've read, I've seen myself, or I've seen where I could put these things into my life, and how I could actually adjust certain things. Because in the last chapter we read last Saturday, they talk about worthiness, men feeling worthy, right? And that was like on spot for me. So just being able to see the chapters, what's happening in the chapters, and how it fits for me is always a plus. So yeah.
No, that's amazing. I guess that's kind of that's how you know it's working, is that when you have a testimony that strong and you say, yeah, I can adopt these skills, I can grow from this situation, I'm feeling empowered, I'm feeling better about myself, which is huge. I do the suits with Elevate Him, and people thought I was crazy, like, she's doing suits. Well, as you guys know, because I've been out there and Baltimore, I mean, you go to different parts of the country and, it's almost mandatory to wear a suit and look nice and present yourself. And now we're kind of in a laid back kind of, generation right now. We're doing Zooms and sweatpants. But I guess what I'm getting to is I recognize that when I use the suits as a way to build confidence, it's super, super powerful. I wanted men to feel a sense of belonging. I wanted men to feel empowered for whatever journey they were going to, or new career or new relationship or whatever, better than ever. And so I kind of adopted the clothing line where I did suits. And so, yeah, anywhere that you can come and find that growth and that healing, that process, and you start taking some ownership of those things and you see the growth. I think it's so, so cool what you guys are doing. So I don't know how much time we have, but I mean, I could keep going forever. So we might even have to get a take 2 because of what happened earlier. I'm so, so sorry. But moving forward, now that you guys are in the book club, you're doing all these things, is there anybody that has kind of like a want or a need to branch this off, like we talked about, a little bit bigger, bring more people in, and how do you think we can do that? How can we get people coming your way? What would be like the tag to get somebody to be interested?
The title of our group.
Yeah, it kind of says it all.
Is that tag, right? It's empowered.
Yeah.
Empower the person that you want to be, right? Empower the strengths and everything that's inside of you, that we, as a group, we believe in each and every one of us. We believe in each other. And as much as we can struggle on our day-to-day basis, we believe that, Alan and James and Charles and Dion and everybody that's in our group, that they're there for us. And our tag is empower yourself. Empower the man that you can be. There's so much potential in yourself. Act potential that we wanna reach. We wanna empower you to be the best man that you can be. And it's gonna take some vulnerability, right? Because being uncomfortable and being vulnerable, those are the things that make you stronger. Those are the things that make you a better man. Right? And it doesn't have to be, a strength that gets you to be a better man. And sometimes that strength comes within your heart, within your mind. And what we want to do, we want to empower every man that wants to join our group. Right?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So, another thing that I was thinking about too earlier is since you guys do Zoom and everything like that, I mean, you have potential to reach people all over. And that's a very powerful thing in itself because it doesn't matter where they are physically, they can tap in. So can you give me some information on how to find you guys? Alan, you maybe mentioned like some social media platforms so the viewers can really start to hone in on that and see what happens.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Nicole, because so we have recently started getting on the ball and created a Facebook group.
Awesome.
A Facebook page.
Yeah.
We're going to create the Instagram. Actually, my wife is very much involved in what we do on the social media scene in the background. And, I'm like, honey, we need a logo, honey. We need social media, honey.
Mm-hmm.
We need some flyers. So,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we definitely have the Empowering the Inside Man Facebook group.
Okay.
And page. So if you just put in Empowering the Inside Man, you'll find us. And from there, we'll have other things, websites and all of that. I was actually thinking about it today. I'm thinking about this podcast and like, wait a minute, we got to get some swag. Right?
Yeah, where's the t-shirts? You got to brand this thing. This is huge. This is really big. This is going to be amazing. And I think, I love saying this, God doesn't do anything small, right? He just doesn't. It's always in abundance. It's always in blessing and favor. And so when you put out there the good work that you're doing, it's going to come back. So you got to be ready, right? So I've learned that kind of in my thing. That's like when I lost my brother to suicide, I was devastated. But I recently had a person reach out to me from the penitentiary that I'm working with, and they're like, you might have lost one brother, but you got 500. And I was like, that is powerful, right? That lets me know that God's saying, yes, but I'm bringing you so much more support, so much more love that you can change lives and you can help people. So I wish that for you guys in what you're doing. So any type of information, website, any social media, shirts, absolutely encourage that so people can get tapped in, soon. You never know. I mean, somebody might need it right now as they're listening. Maybe they, really want to connect and I'm hopeful for that. So very cool, guys.
And we are working on it.
Very cool. So anybody got anything last to say before we get off? I mean, I would love to have you guys back on and see if we can get more people on and because I can go really deep, but I really wanted you guys to talk about what you're doing and how it's helped and changed your lives and how it's empowered you to be the man that, and we're always evolving. So there's never going to be the perfect person. We know that, but a trying man is amazing. And so, just encouraging that and bringing that to the forefront. So anybody got anything to say before we go?
One thing I wanted to say, Nicole, was that anyone who might feel like, it's a book, it's going to be big, it's going to be long. The books that so far that we've read are extremely relatable. They aren't like high level, it's not like a whole lot of wording and jargon that people don't understand and can't grasp. It's a lot of story driven type of material so that it's relatable. So anybody who's thinking, I don't know about a book, listen, once you start picking up one of these books as we've chosen so far, like it's like, oh, you want to keep reading. It's like,
right.
You gotta stop.
You're like, the book's over already. What? I wanted more. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So, and this actually got me, I'm probably maybe the second youngest person in the group on this call right now. And I've actually gotten back into like paperback books.
Okay.
So I'm like kind of shed my digital books and getting back to paperbacks, building my library.
There you go.
For those who kind of want to do that, as well as they empower themselves and their community and their families, we can build up our libraries too.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, it's like you guys are like the live audible. Like if somebody just wanted to tap in, like you said, and not say anything, not be seen. I just want to hear what you guys have. Like that. This is cool. So again, it doesn't surprise me that again, once you get the ball rolling, you're gonna get hooked, and it's gonna be a healthy outlet. and super empowerment. Did you have something to say, Mr. Charles?
Just, and just thinking about it, just the ability of the group itself, thinking, piggybacking on what Joseph was saying, just talking to brothers that I'm, men about joining the group, just come be a part, just hear a conversation that's meant to build up men. That's really the tagline I share with brothers, and just, for any man that's listening, and, look, I'm reminded of a quote that I read a while ago. A man cannot know himself or grow himself by himself. So we all need.
I'm stealing that.
Of a man to help us get, to get where we want to go.
Yes.
I'm only, like you said, and God does not do anything small. So therefore, purpose is multidimensional. So therefore, wherever God has me to go, I know there's something that Joseph's going to deposit in me, Alan, James, and so Dion, and so forth, because of our backgrounds and our experiences, and that's the beauty of it. We all come from diverse academic backgrounds, personal backgrounds, but in the end, we're all in unison.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about, because we're not here to preach to each other. We're here to encourage each other. And again, in the encouragement is where the growth and the empowerment comes.
Right. Very beautiful. Yeah, I saw this quote because I've been kind of doing my own transitions and stuff, and I saw this, and it literally was very emotional. And it was on the lines, because I can't really quote, but it said, God created the earth in 7 days, but he made you in 9 months. And so we've really got to take like that into consideration. Like, you are that special. You are that worthy. You are you have purpose. And I think just, really pulling that out of men right now, because there's a lot of things that I've seen in just my discovery of lack of support specifically for men. Again, I mentioned the suicide rate being higher in men. 1 out of 6 men are, molested as boys. There's a lot of depth. And so I wanted to remind men that they have purpose, that they are needed, they are loved, and to keep going. And I just think this is such a positive piece to what you guys need and what men all over the nation, world need. There's men everywhere. I have a son, I have a dad, and you guys have kids and families and people around you too. And so I really, really appreciate you guys being here. So if you guys are up for it, we can always do this again and just tap back in with you and just see how things are going, how things are evolving, how the next book is going. So super excited for your guys' upcoming blessings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're gonna take you up on your offer.
Yes, anytime. Yeah, this is my first experience with the Zoom, so this is really cool. I once you kind of get the swing of things and you open more doors, it's gonna just keep going. I got some women that are gonna be coming on soon and expressing different things of mental health and what they see in this, in the communities and how to support men better. So yeah, we have a lot of growth ourselves, so a lot of cool stuff coming up. All right, guys. Well, take care. And yeah, we will keep in touch, and you guys have a great night. And please get together. However, if there's a website, which you did mention, so you guys are working on some things, so I'm not going to call you out. But as soon as I get some stuff, I want to be able to link this into the video so people can have a contact person. So I don't know if that's Alan or Joseph, if we can get some contact information to place with the video, as people will be watching, and getting them connected to you is great. So we want to do that. So yeah.
We'll get that to you. So,
Awesome. Okay. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again. All right. Bye, guys.
All right, have a good night.
Hey, what's up? It's Nicole Brewster, also known as Coco. Thank you for tapping into the Elevate Him podcast. Until next time.